this physics of the audience that weighs you down. And let me explain what that means. So if you have 100,000 followers and you lose 1%, let's say you have 100 followers and you lose 1% a month, that means you need to replace one follower.
There you go.
That's not that hard. But if you have 100,000 followers and you lose 1%, you've got to replace 1,000 people.
Today, I'm very excited to be joined again by my friend Mark Schaefer. If you don't know who Mark is, he is a futurist and social strategist. He's also the author of multiple books, including Marketing Rebellion, Belonging to the Brand, and his latest book is Social Media Explained 3.0. He's also the host of the Marketing Companion Show. Mark, welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
It's great to be with you, Michael. I always love our conversations, so I've been looking forward to this.
So today, Mark and I are going to explore how to embrace changing times with your social marketing and your marketing in general. Mark, the last time you wrote Social Media Explained 3.0 was pre-COVID in 2018, and now we're recording this in 2024. What are some of the biggest challenges that you see on the social marketing frontier that maybe didn't exist back in 2018?
Well, it's funny. When I looked at that book, I thought, well, maybe it's time to update this book. And I read this book that was written in 2018, and it just seemed quaint. If you think about how the world of social media has changed, oh my gosh, and it hasn't been that long, maybe 6 years, but I mean, back in 2018, most of the things we were talking about, most of the things we were working on were kind of Facebook related, maybe some Twitter in there. And so the landscape of how we connect and where we connect has certainly changed. But I think for me, the biggest lesson as I look back at that now seemingly old book was to look at how social media strategy has changed a lot. It's a lot faster. I mean, in some cases, let's say on TikTok, we've got a day to be relevant in many cases. So speed is very, very important. I think the role of content has changed a lot. I think the type of content we're creating has changed a lot. And I work with a lot of different companies. I'm so happy and so pleased and grateful that in my role as a consultant and also as a teacher at a university, that I get to interact with people from all different kinds of companies, very diverse types of industries. And I see this common theme that they're just sort of sleepwalking. I mean, if you're doing social media the same way you did it 5 years ago, it's just not connecting. And it's been kind of shocking to me as I meet some of these professionals and they're saying, geez, social media just doesn't work like it used to. And well, if you're doing it like you did it 5 years ago, you're exactly right. You're not keeping up with the times. And so I thought, well, look, it's time to update the book and sort of give a new perspective on social media strategy, and how it fits in the marketing mix.
So if we look at today, what do you see as some of the struggles that marketers face? I mean, I can free flow with you a little bit here. The first thing that comes into mind is no one is seemingly seeing our content if they're a follower or subscriber anymore, right? I mean, are there some other challenges that you think that are maybe unique in this era that we're in right now?
Well, I think, wow. I mean, the topic of content is just so interesting right now. So let's go at a very, very high level, and then we can get maybe into some of the practical things going on with content. So I see social media. I mean, in 2018, I think social media could be a strategy. I think social media was just such a big part of our lives, such a big part of our content streams. Facebook was such an important part of our lives, all of our lives, almost every generation, right? Same way with with YouTube. And I think today, social media in the marketing mix, I'm not sure it's a strategy as much as a part of a process. Of course, there are always exceptions, but I look at it like this. The magnificent thing about social media is today, and always has been, our ability to reach new people, new constituents, new potential customers that might have never heard us before. So that's fantastic. But it's a weak relational link. So what we're trying to do in marketing is build strong emotional links to our brand. We want people to be interested in us. And today, social media is so fleeting. It's so ephemeral. You compare like the algorithm of TikTok to what we've traditionally been working with in Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn. It's a completely different animal. And sometimes I feel like we're creating content because we're afraid not to. We just have to move so fast. And I think the real goal of social media today is to connect people to our content and get them to subscribe to a blog, to a podcast, to a video series, even to, an Instagram account, because then we start to build a stronger relational link. In a virtual way, people are raising their hand saying, I believe in you. I want to know more. It's all right for you to communicate to me. And now, instead of feeling like we're throwing a bottle into the ocean, we're getting more reliable reach. And then, and there's a stronger emotional connection that can really support a more strategic marketing effort and maybe even lead into a marketing community someday.
So let me dig in a little bit on social can build a strong relational link and or connection with somebody who is either a prospect or a customer.
Sure.
There's plenty of people listening right now that say, yeah, but that doesn't scale. What do you want to say to those people? Because part of marketing, depending on the angle you come at this from, is a one-to-many perspective, right? But the relational side of it is often a one-to-one side of it. Do you understand?
Sure.
So talk to me a little bit about the importance
I think relational is, if I said that maybe that's, I said it wrong, or I misspoke, because it's a weak relational link is what I was trying to say. I think what it provides is reach. It provides the possibility of awareness.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you do a good job creating provocative, interesting content on social media, you've got the opportunity for reach. You've got the opportunity to provoke interest in what you're doing. But from a relationship standpoint, it's a weak relational link. That's for sure.
Okay. Do you think it's possible with social media to develop a stronger relational connection with people? If you think about, like, for example, the work you write on LinkedIn, if someone is regularly commenting and you're engaging with them, do you feel like that's the kind of stuff that actually is effective and could allow a private communication to happen where they might want to hire you to come speak at an event or something like that?
100%. And that's where the role of content comes in, right? Because they're starting to know me, they're starting to learn about me, they're starting to trust me. Maybe they're being entertained by me. So there's lots of great examples. And I think that's how social media really works today. So it's almost like, social media, you throw the net, you get people interested in you. And then if you do a good enough job on content, and I mean, that's hard today. I mean, this, you see this as well as I do, that, creating content that stands out today is very, very difficult. And it's one of my frustrations in the social media marketing world right now, that there's, in my perspective, there's very little innovation going on right now. People just kind of copy each other, kind of regurgitating the same things in the same formats. And that is just not enough anymore. And if you see the people who are really standing out, they're doing something that's really different, really provocative. And so I think that's a big challenge.
Okay, so we're going to talk about content in just a little bit, but I just want to reiterate some of what I'm hearing you say, and I'll throw some of my thoughts in here as well. Right now, some of the biggest challenges that I believe, and I think you agree with me on, that marketers who use social media face is figuring out how to get that reach. So many of us have spent years developing very large followings across all these different social platforms, whether it be YouTube, whether it be Instagram, whether it be Facebook, whether it be X/Twitter. And now what's happening is the followers/subscribers are seeing less and less of our content. For example, we have 315,000 YouTube subscribers, but I guarantee you they're never seeing, like, they're not all going to see this interview. I know that for a fact, because what's happening now is we're in this era now where when people go on these social platforms, they're being shown content from people that they don't know who they are, but that the platforms think is relevant, right? They're being shown content around topical categories that they think Michael Stelzner and or Mark Schaefer is interested in. And that does fundamentally alter and also provide an opportunity. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that one side of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big topic, Mike. And it's not just the social media algorithms, it's the Google algorithms. And I mean, and I think this problem is going to be even more severe in the world of AI. There's going to be a different algorithm and a different decision-making process. And, what I'm trying to think about, what I'm trying to teach about is that we can't depend on these algorithms. We've got to earn our audience, and we've got to have an audience of subscribers so that when they see we've created something new, they're organically going to see it. Maybe it's an alert in their email, or maybe it's an alert when they visit YouTube or something like that, that they have a subscription and they have, new content. But we just can't depend on these algorithms anymore. We've got to build our personal brand, and the only way to stand out is to double down on the quality of the content. I mean, I've studied this probably more than any person alive. You think about, how do you build your audience? How do you build your audience? There's millions of tricks, and you can trick people into clicking a link, and maybe they'll even listen to it, but they're not going to subscribe, and they're not going to come back unless it is insanely great content. And I think the one strategy is you've got to double down, triple down on the quality of the content today, because the world is so competitive. We cannot depend on these algorithms. We've got to build this audience ourselves.
And I want to echo a couple things. I agree with you, and we're going to definitely get into the content side of this in just a minute. I do think that there is this a reframing that many of us who are marketers, who have an audience of any substantial size, part of what's at play here, Mark, is what you talked about in Content Shock, this concept where more and more people are more able to create content, and that's only going to increase with the implementation of AI, as you kind of hinted to. So now you've got all these people, right? And you've got all these people that everybody's following, and the truth of the matter is that the algorithm knows you don't want to see everything. It's only going to try to show you stuff that's relevant. So I'm thinking, and I want to know what your thoughts are on this, that we need to be okay with the fact that there's only going to be a fragment of our followers that are ever going to see our stuff. And it may be because, frankly, our stuff isn't very good in the first place, or it may be because maybe those people followed us a long time ago and they've moved on to other things. And I kind of feel like we just need to be okay with the fact that it's never going to be more than a certain percentage, but any percentage is better than no percentage when we're talking about something that costs us nothing but time. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I think you're exactly right. And I think there's another thing that happens. There's like this physics of the audience that weighs you down. And let me explain what that means. So if you have 100,000 followers and you lose 1%, let's say you have 100 followers and you lose 1% a month. That means you need to replace one follower.
There you go.
That's not that hard. But if you have 100,000 followers and you lose 1%, you've got to replace 1,000 people, 1,000 followers. And so this leveling out starts to take place. And a lot of people, as they get bigger, they think, oh my gosh, something's wrong. But really what's happening is it's just harder to maintain because the replacement number keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's difficult unless, like I said, you start doing something different. You double down on the content to break through that sort of that leveling point.
Another thing that I would love to get your thoughts on are the desire of the platforms to keep everyone on platform. Back in 2018, there was a pretty good chance you could publish social with a link. But now I think we all know that does not work anymore. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. If we can't send them off platform, how do we actually do marketing?
Well, I mean,
for free, obviously with paid, organically.
Yeah. So my strategy is this, and I create content, but I always publish my content on my website. It's the archive. It is the home room, the home base of this content. It sends a signal to Google, as long as Google is important, and we can debate that. Seems to be changing month by month, but it sends us a signal to Google or AI that, look, I am the author. This is where it originated. And then, a day or two later, I'll post it on LinkedIn, on Medium, on Substack, maybe on Facebook, on Twitter. So content is really what drives the connection. It drives the emotion. It drives the brand. This social media is a distribution system, right? So we need to see that as a distribution system. I'm not, sometimes we can count on it, sometimes we can't. But that's why we have to grow our organic audience, our own subscribers, because we're not going to be able to depend on the algorithms.
So just to be crystal clear, when you say you're posting your blog content on LinkedIn, you're not saying you're posting a link to it. Clarify that. Yeah, clarify that.
You just got to say, all right, that's the rules. And what I'm trying to do is at the bottom of the post, I'll say something like, and by the way, I'm having a tremendous amount of success on LinkedIn. I mean, one of my posts might get 15,000, 20,000 views and hundreds of comments and reactions, and so it's working and it's growing. But what I do is I post the whole article on the bottom. I say something like, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for reading this. If you never want to miss one of my posts, click here to subscribe, and it leads it back to the blog. So there is a link inside the article, but I create an entire article on LinkedIn.
Love it. Okay. So let's now transition to talking about the role of content when it comes to marketing today. And there's so much we can talk about here, and I want to dig in on this a little bit. You've hinted up until this point that you feel like content is the discovery mechanism, right? And, in the olden days, people would post things on social and it would be like a little graphic with a quote, or it would be, I don't know, just like a question that's maybe designed to encourage interaction and stuff like that. That's not, I think, what you mean by content, right? So what do you mean by content? What is the role of content in marketing today? And then what is the role of content on social in marketing today?
So, when I teach about content and social media, I keep it very, very simple. I said, basically, there's 4 kinds of content. And if you're a small business, a solo entrepreneur, you pick one and you master it. So the 4 types would be something written, like a blog, video, like a video series on YouTube, a podcast, or perhaps images. And when I say video, it could be streaming video, which you can still record and then put on YouTube, put on your website, etc. And the last one, images, like you put on Instagram, Pinterest, something like that. Those are the basic
infographics, carousels, that kind of stuff, right?
Right. And, and I would say for most business professionals, and again, there are lots of exceptions to the rules, but in general, for business professionals, you really only have 3 choices. It's written, it's a podcast, or a video series, because, the images aren't so discoverable. You want to be discoverable. And, if someone's trying to find you, they're probably not going to find an image on Instagram or on Pinterest. So, I say sticking to written video or podcasts are the big thing. And if you're a small business and you're just starting with this, you got to start with just one. Now, I know other people say you got to be everywhere. You got to plant your flag. Look, to stand out today, to be noticed, you've got to be great. And you can't be great in 12 places. You can't. So pick one, double down, triple down, do your best. If you have extra resources, if you have extra time, double down on the content channel that you choose, and just make it better and better, better. Make it relevant, make it interesting, make it timely, and make it entertaining. Think about the content we love to share. There was a study, Mike, done a few years ago by BuzzSumo, and they said the emotion most associated with content that goes viral is awe. AWA.
Okay.
Now, how many people are creating content that makes us go, oh, wow. But that's what people love to share. So then the last part is, I think it has to be superior. And that's where I think a lot of people are falling down right now. And let me give you a quick example. There was a Fortune 100 company that got a new CMO. The CMO called me in and said, Mark, I'm trying to figure out what's going on in this company. Do an audit of our social media practices. So this was a company that had big franchise offices in all the cities. So I started visiting these cities, and the people in the offices were saying, we don't use their social media content. It's terrible. Nobody, it's so old. So, this company very wisely, 11 or 12 years ago, created a department to create social media content. And every single day they create social media content. They send it out to the offices, but they've never looked up. They don't see how the world is really working right now. They don't know what kind of content is working. They don't know how their customers have changed. They don't know how the platforms have changed. So they're sleepwalking. And I see that in so many cases where we just need to look up and refresh what we're doing. Like I said, if you're just doing the same thing you've been doing for the last 3 or 5 years, you're not going to be relevant. You've got to update, what you're doing.
Okay, I want to dig in on a couple of these. First of all, you said pick one lane and be really good at it. I know that
sounds controversial, but
but that's okay. I'd love to hear what your one lane is, and then I'll share what my one lane is. What is your lane, Mark Schaefer, that you feel like you are the best at?
Well,
when it comes to content.
Well, first of all, the other thing I want to say is that I always encourage people, when you pick your lane, you got to consider, where's the competition? You got to consider, what do my customers like? But I also say, pick the lane that you love, because if you don't have enthusiasm, if you don't have joy when you're creating content, your audience is going to know, and they're going to leave. So it's got to be joyful for you. I am a writer. I love to write. So I started my blog. I just hit year number 15 on my blog. And I've been, I blogged at one point for 620 weeks in a row, took a little break for COVID. Now I've blogged like probably another 150 weeks in a row. Now, about 5 years after I started my blog, I started a podcast. Why? Because I was curious. I'm a teacher. I'm a consultant. I wanted to learn how to do it. But I figured, how can I do this in a way that's not going to jeopardize the quality of the blog? Because that's my audience. That's what I've mastered. And so I only do my podcast. It's only 30 minutes. It's only every other week instead of every week. And I don't have guests. I have a rotating co-host, so I don't have to schedule anybody. I don't have to worry about their audio quality. And I already have a connection, a chemistry with them. So I know it's going to be a good show. So I've created a second lane, but in a way that does not jeopardize that blog, because almost every business benefit that comes to me comes through that content channel.
Well, and Mark, similar to Mark, I am also a writer, but I actually find the most joy doing podcast interviews. And I've been doing this consistently now for, gosh, a long time. I mean, this is
Long
episode
time.
600 and something.
Yeah.
And what I enjoy doing the most is interviewing people, not creating original spoken content, because for me, I love interaction. I happen to be an extrovert. I feel like I find great guests and we can tease out really fascinating topics, and a lot of people love talking about it. I have tried solo video a lot, and it's too much work for me.
Yeah.
I also, my second path is writing. I am a writer, but I'm also dyslexic. So my challenge is it looks perfect, but I have to review it and review it and review it like 9 to 10 times before I find something that's okay that I publish it. But I have been experimenting with the written word on X/Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn with longer form written content. I find a lot of joy in there because it gives me an experimental playground for me to be me.
Yeah.
But like Mark, I don't feel like I can be everywhere. I am not a short form content person. Therefore, I personally, and my business right now does not, with success, really embrace TikTok, Reels, and Shorts. And I think it's completely okay to not be everywhere. And I think that's an important lesson.
Yeah. And I think, also for the type of content you and I are creating, we're teaching. And I mean, you're interviewing, but you're also,
it's educational for sure.
It's educational, right? And so you're not going to do that in sound bites. You've got to dive in. You've got to tease out the wisdom from the people that you interview. And, you do a very good job with that. And that's why you've been so successful. And that's why your show has been successful for so long.
So one of the things we talked about is the importance of consistency over being perfect. Talk to us a little bit about that, because you did mention earlier you've got to be really, really good. But I'm curious what your thoughts are, because some people might perceive that as I've got to be perfect or I'm not even going to give it a try.
Well, there's a couple interesting points in your question, Mike. So first of all, let's talk about perfection. I mean, that is a big stumbling block for people. But if you aim for perfection, you're never going to publish, and you've got to publish, and you've got to publish consistently. I've written thousands of blog posts. I'm in my 12th year of my podcast. I've written 10 books. I have never pushed the publish button one time where I've been 100% happy with it. Mm-hmm. Am I proud of it? Yes. I will never let my audience down. It will always be interesting. It will always be worth your time. Is it perfect? No way. Never will be. But you just can't let that stand in the way. Now let's talk about the second part.
Real quick, I have something a little to add there. We have a mantra inside of Social Media Examiner called "Published is better than perfect."
Yeah.
And it's one of our guiding principles that we use because we're a media company. We publish a lot of stuff. It's very freeing to know that you can edit almost anything. Don't you agree, Mark?
Yeah, right. I go back. I'll come up with some new idea. I thought, oh boy, I just wrote a blog post about that a couple of months ago. I'll just stick another idea in there. But the other thing is this idea of consistency.
Yes.
Because again, we cannot depend on these algorithms. We need to become a habit. One of the nicest compliments I ever got in my life, a lady from California, she wrote me, she said, I start my day with you. I get a cup of coffee, I open up my email, and I hope that you've sent me something. I've become part of the fabric of her life. I don't need Google. I don't need Facebook. I don't need it because I've become part of her life. That to me is like the ultimate compliment. And so when you start building that audience, and you've got to show up, right? And you can't say, oh, I'm going to skip a week, because then you'll say, oh, I'm going to skip 2 weeks. No one seemed to notice before. That's a slippery slope. And you're going to be sick. You're going to have a bad week. You're going to go on vacation. So create content ahead. Have some extra shows in your back pocket. So when, something bad happens, you won't miss and you won't let your audience down.
And I have never missed an episode of this podcast ever for the 600 and whatever weeks that I've been publishing it.
That is freakishly crazy.
Yeah, but little secret, we record these about a month before we publish, so we have a little bit of a zone and range in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Storytelling. How does that work into content?
Oh, it's absolutely critical, and here's why. To stand out in this world, you have to be original. To be original, you only have one choice. You've got to add your own story. You've got to add your own perspective. You've got to bring your heritage, your education, your life experiences into your content. Because if you do that, you're going to create something no one's ever heard of before. And that's one of the things I think content creators today, they should feel comforted by that. I truly think, look, it's a busy world. It's a crowded world. It's so competitive. But if you're creating content and you're doing your best and you're putting your heart into it, there's only one you. You don't have any competition. Be fearless. Who cares what somebody else is doing? They're not you. And you can find your own audience. I've seen it happen over and over again in insanely competitive markets, like entrepreneurship or real estate or food blogging, where someone comes up with a new angle that's them and people fall in love with them. And I think there's still incredible opportunity there.
I also think that marketers underestimate the importance of story. For those that pay attention to my podcast, and it's especially relevant on my new show, AI Explored, every time I get a new guest on my show, I ask them, how'd you get into fill in the blank, whatever it is. And those stories are the first 10 minutes of my 45-minute interview. And people might be like, that's madness, except I'm here to tell you it actually works. Because story is what actually if you pay attention to the stuff you watch, you probably pay attention to storytellers and you don't even realize it, right? Because people lose time when they're in a good story. And this is a great way. If you can tell a good story, you can turn it into educational content. And I've been experimenting this a lot with my written content. I feel like it's the marketing super weapon that a lot of marketers, especially those that focus on education, are overlooking. Mark, do you actively try to embrace storytelling in all of the written content?
Almost every single one of my blog posts or podcasts has my personality in it some way. And I want to build on what you're saying, because like you and I, we have a lane. We don't want to confuse our audience. So you and I, we're not going to all of a sudden create a podcast episode about Portuguese history, right? I mean, when people hear you and me, when people tune into your show, there's an expectation. However, you can bring life experiences into the stories as teachable moments. So you might visit a new city and see something that inspires you, or meet a new person that taught you something new. I love sports. I love outdoors. I love history. I love art. I bring stories from all of those things and all of those experiences into my content as a way to teach. I'll tell you a quick little story. See, we're talking about storytelling, just as an example. So for many, many years, I've mentored these kids and they're growing up. But when they were little, they played on this basketball team. I went to their game. They were slaughtering the other team. It's like 50-0. Finally, someone from the other team stole the ball. The scrawny little kid, he stole the ball and made a perfect layup in the wrong basket. Now, I wrote a blog post about that. I said, see, it doesn't matter how well you execute if you have the wrong strategy.
I love it. So, and Mark, and I'm sure you think like I think, like there's stories that happen everywhere around you if you just pay attention to them, right? And you can figure out, like, let's say you want to write about some new trend, right? Yeah. And you just happen to see a movie, or you happen to be at an event, or someone asked you a question. All these things are foundational material for your writing. And I would imagine in your book, so much of your book and your books in general are you telling stories. Is that right?
Yeah. Not just my book, but also my speeches, because that's what people remember. They'll remember your stories. They'll remember your insights, right? So, and this is a big issue, I think, in social media marketing today. We're not providing insights. We're providing information. Nobody needs more information. That's what Google is for. What they need is insights. And that means a revelation. So you say, like you said, Mike, I went to this movie and I just thought about this thing. That's a revelation. That's an insight. That makes your story unique and interesting. We've got to get away from just talking about information and statistics and the same trends that everybody else is talking about, and bring our own story into it. Create insights instead of information. That's going to make better content. It's going to make a better speech. It's going to make a better book.
As of the day of this recording, we were almost exactly 18 months from the ChatGPT moment, which happened on November 30th, 2022.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of marketers that are freaking out, Mark. Some of them are consultants. Some of them work for agencies. Many of them are not sure whether or not they're going to have a job in the future because they feel like they can't keep up, and that some young kid with some AI knowledge is going to come along and just crush them. So let's spend a few minutes talking about your perspective on where we are today with AI and marketing, and let's just see where that conversation goes.
All right. So I think, I'll tell a little story. So when ChatGPT came out, it was like blowing my mind. So I called a friend of mine, Shelley Palmer. He's a famous tech analyst in New York. And he told a story. He used to be a producer in the music industry. He said, this reminds me of 1986. Before 1986, if you wanted to have music in a TV show or a movie, you needed a band. You needed singers. In 1986, music started to become computerized. You could duplicate all these instruments and play all these different instruments on a computer. He said within 1 year, half of the professional musicians in America lost their jobs. Now, you and I live in Tennessee. You live in Nashville. Nashville has more jobs per capita in the music industry than any city in the world. It's like eight out of every 1,000 jobs. So wait a minute. If all these jobs went away, how do we still have all these people working in the music industry? Because they're the best. They're the best writers. They're the best singers. They're the best producers. They're the best, promotion people. They're the best, designers or whatever. So we still have a flourishing music industry. We have a lot fewer musicians because the commodity musicians, the people that would just show up to play a horn for an advertisement, that's gone. But the very best are still here. And I think that is going to be part of what we're going to be seeing with AI and marketing as well. We're still going to have marketing jobs. You still have to have accountability. There's going to have to be a human that makes the decision to spend the money to go. And if it doesn't work, you're going to have to take credit, or, you're going to have to admit defeat. But there's going to have to be a human in there. And
let me just play a little bit more on this story of what happened with digital music. Let's not underestimate the number of digital musicians that were born after this started, and composers and all sorts of talented people around the world that have created music tracks that are used in podcasts and stuff like that, where they didn't have to get a band together. You know what I mean? They could actually compose this on a computer using Adobe Audition. Yeah. So it did open an entirely new class of digital artists, if you will, did it not?
Yeah. And this is a wonderful point, because think about how that connects the dots to what we were just talking about, is that it just can't be content is content, just spewing information. Look at the creative capabilities that we have that are just right at our fingertips now. By the end of this year, we're going to be able to create full-length movies at our kitchen tables. So we've got to start integrating these things. We've got to start using them and making something that stands out. So I love that point. It's a very relevant point.
Yeah, and I've used the example of Photoshop as well, right? When Photoshop came out, a lot of people freaked out that were traditional film photographers.
Yeah.
But if you think about what Photoshop made possible, it made possible the manipulation of images that ultimately would lead to tools like Canva, which are used by millions of people, and now everybody has access to tools, and you don't have to hire a professional photographer, and now you have apps on your phone where you can create incredibly awesome stuff. So I am a strong believer that these tools, these AI enabled tools, are going to allow people like us, Mark, to maybe get creative in ways
Yeah.
that we never felt we could before. And so how do we embrace some of this stuff without being overwhelmed? I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
So I've thought a lot about this, and it is easy to be overwhelmed, and I know a lot of people who are being overwhelmed. And what I've been talking about in my speeches, Mike, and with my consulting, is that you need to be very clear about what is your core competency. What is creating customers for you? Are you creating customers because you're the most creative? Are you creating customers because you have the best service? Are you creating customers because you have the biggest variety of offerings? Now, I use this image of a surfer. So these things that you're good at, it's like your surfboard. This is what brings you success. To be relevant, to be successful, a surfer doesn't need a new surfboard. They have a great surfboard, but they need to pick the right wave. So what I would suggest is, look, if you are in a business where you create customers because of your speed of whatever you do, then focus on applications that you can apply to be even faster. Don't worry about Sora. Don't worry about these apps that are creating music. That's not going to help you. That's just going to make you overwhelmed. Just find out where are the applications coming that can give you the right wave to catch to take you into the future. And the other thing to think about is that a lot of this AI is going to come to us. It's already being integrated into the Microsoft suite of products. It's being integrated, for better or worse, into the Google suite of products. Microsoft just announced they're creating a whole computer that's integrated with AI. And so in many ways, innovations for all companies, all the companies that already serve us, will mean applying a layer of AI to what they do. And for you to be successful, you need to apply a layer to what you do best.
I love this because, Mark, as we're talking about pick your lane, right? And yours is writing and mine is mostly interviewing. I think about this secondary lane I'm experimenting with, which is writing. If I was to embrace a tool like Claude or ChatGPT, I could just paste my writing in there and have it identify I could say, I am dyslexic, and what mistakes do you see? And maybe it would instantly fix them for me or show them to me so that I can move faster to get that content out. Yeah. And on the audio side of things, I can make my audio sound better potentially by using tools to remove background noise and stuff like that. Right? Or to add music.
Or to add noises. I mean, I think that would be fun, right? It's just like, hey, hey there, ChatGPT, I just created this podcast. Here it is. Add some lovely little sounds to augment, make this a more fun show for our listeners.
Yeah, maybe I could add music tracks underneath key moments, the kind of thing you hear on these NPR style shows that I don't normally do.
We're all going to be able to do that. It gets back to your point that AI is going to unleash this amazing new productivity, this amazing new creativity. I had a woman in my community, and she was talking to me. She was in tears. She said, I've never been able to write. It's just not how my brain works. She said, with ChatGPT, for the first time in my life, I can blog. I can put my ideas in there. And it creates something that makes sense. Maybe someday I'll even be able to write a book. It's just like so inspirational because the creativity of this woman is going to be unleashed. Her stories, her ideas will be unleashed on the world. And she never had that opportunity before.
Mark Schaefer, thank you, first of all, for coming on and exploring these important concepts with me. If people want to connect with you, I'm assuming LinkedIn is your preferred social platform. And if it is, where do they find you? And then also, where do you want to send them if they want to discover more about you and your business?
Yeah, I mean, I really love LinkedIn, but it's easy to find me on Businesses Grow. It's hard to remember how to spell Schaefer. I know. You don't have to remember. You don't even need AI to remember. All you need to know is Businesses Grow. You can find my blog, my podcast, my books, and all my social connections.
Mark Schaefer, thank you so much for sharing your insights and wisdom with us today.
Always so much fun. I learned so much from you, Mike. Thanks for having me.